Sup, dweebs? Welcome to The Punchline. I'm Compton, and welcome to yet another show on Emerson TV that's kind of like a show on real TV, except it's about Emerson. This week, we're talking about industry standards. What does that mean? I don't know. I just showed up here, and now I'm reading from this teleprompter, but this thing will probably tell me what industry standards mean later on in the show. I just hope this arbitrary concept we're talking about doesn't involve, like, racism or sexism. Otherwise, wait, what? That's what this episode's about? Racism and sexism? Oh no. Welcome to The Punchline, folks. Once again, I am Compton, and let's just dive right into a light story about homelessness. Emerson has had a major housing problem ever since they realized that their biggest dorm is literally named the Little Building. Let's face it, when you exclusively market yourselves towards permanent residents of the island of misfit toys, the demand to attend this school is going to dramatically outweigh the number of moldy blue mattresses. To make matters worse, the Little Building is soon going to be a big pile of rubble because it is literally falling apart. This temple to Emersonian first awkward sexual experiences was built in 1917 and has been crumbling ever since. For perspective, the people who built LB probably went to the Lowe's to see the premiere of Birth of a Nation. So we're just going to completely rebuild the Little Building from the ground up, which would be a great idea if people didn't, live in LB. Emerson's big idea is to put them in Fenway because it'll really show Paramount kids how bad their commute is. To make matters worse, the proposed site of the Fenway dorm would be the last nail in the coffin for gentrifying the Fenway area. So now it's official. The only people who will be able to afford to live in Fenway are entitled art students and Wally the Green Monster. We're also building a new residence hall called Boylston Place in what used to be Sweetwater Tavern, meaning it's going to get poltergeists of drunk ghosts. And when LB reopens, we'll have a brand new dorm building to help prevent upperclassmen from being forced to discover the true meaning of Alston Christmas. Fun fact, it's bedbugs. Now, you might be thinking, what's going to happen to all the fun offices I go to in LB, like the fitness center, the cabaret, and the EDC? Well, Emerson has been playing property musical chairs with those offices, except it's more like property Russian roulette. If you liked performing in the intimate black box space of the cab, you are going to love performing in a space known for its prominent PowerPoint screen. I think it'll be great for Rarex production of Microsoft Office the musical. And the EDC, home to extremely expensive film equipment, yeah, that's going to be in a place known to the locals as Stab Alley. Why is it called Stab Alley? You know those fun 3 a.m. phone calls about stabbings? Yeah. I'm sure vagrants are going to love using their brand new Bolex. Emerson does have some good ideas, though. After Eagle started a campaign for gender-inclusive bathrooms at the end of last year, we finally got them. It's ridiculous that it took us this long to do. Because you know what? I'm going to make this desk a gender-inclusive bathroom. Can you put like a timer on? This is a gender-neutral bathroom. And that only took like just a little over 2 seconds. There's now a gender-inclusive bathroom in every building on campus, including multi-stall ones in Walker, Paramount, and Piano Row. All the single-stall bathrooms have also had their signs changed to gender-inclusive, which may seem redundant, but believe it or not, some of those were gendered as well, putting us on level with Bic for her pens. This was a huge oversight by Emerson, but don't worry, you're sitting on pro-equality toilets now. Maybe transphobic toilets explain our drop in Princeton Review's ranking for the most LGBT-friendly college in the country. We used to be #1, and now we're like #7. We're like Miley Cyrus's music career. We used to be pumping nothing but bangers, but now we are having to admit to ourselves that everyone makes mistakes. Now, we did have some good changes this year, but at the end of the day, we have to remember that we cannot be complacent with the idea that our school's maxim is gay by May, because we need to be the change that we wish to see in the world. Print that out on a rainbow fortune cookie because I am serving out some LGBT truths. Get it? It kind of rhymes? Gosh, I'm really funny. I should be a comedy major. We are now officially 1 month into Emerson's comedy major, and surprisingly, our Princeton Review ranking hasn't dropped. Oh wait, it did? Ha, fuck. It's still too early to call if the comedy major is as big of a mistake as I was for my parents. But I'm pleased to say that in an unexpected turn of events, comedy students are actually tolerable human beings. But how does this major work exactly? Emerson has it mapped out with students learning about writing, performance, and production of comedy. And later, in their junior year, students pick one of those to specialize in. I'm sure I'm not the only one wondering just what makes comedic production any different from regular old production. A part of me gets it. Emerson is now the first to offer extra credit for being a class clown. Great. But by being the first, there's obviously also a lot at stake. In doing something so new, Emerson and all of the students committing to this degree are kind of going out on a limb. We can't be sure how future employers will look at the comedic arts degree, let alone if students in this major will even have a chance to get jobs in the comedy industry. I mean, I can't picture the cast of SNL being like, oh, fuck, this guy has a degree in comedy? We should just quit and let this guy do the show for us. But really, couldn't you get the same education with a combination of other Emerson majors and minors? Can you really be taught to be funny? Can you really not find a better way to waste $200,000? I can think of one, making your real house a bouncy house. But what do I know? At some point, some college out there had to be the first school to offer a film degree, and now that's normal. I'm sure Stevie had a hard time telling Mom, Pa Spielberg that he wanted to get a degree in the movies. As of right now, the major already seems to be pretty popular, with 22 students transferring into it and a total of 42 this year. And if this major is going to succeed anywhere, I think Emerson might be the place. Because God knows we get enough material from observing the weirdos who go here. Speaking of weirdos, let's go interview some of them. We're tossing it over to our man standing next to the street, not in the street, that's dangerous, correspondent Kyle Nakasaka, as he gets down and dirty talking about systematic oppression in our new segment, Kyle Nakasaka Gets Down and Dirty Talking About Systematic Oppression.
Have you ever experienced any discrimination in a classroom?
No.
Have you ever been witness to any?
No, not that I could think of.
Do you think that do you think it's a problem at Emerson?
Not here, no. If I had to pick one place on earth where it's not, it'd probably be here.
Hey guys, I'm Kyle. I'm here on the streets to talk to students about their experiences with bigotry at Emerson. Let's go talk to some. Hi, I'm here with
Julie Moskowitz.
Carly.
I'm Gray. Chris Henderson West.
I'm a WLP major and a comedy minor.
I am acting and journalism.
VMA. Political communication.
Have you ever had an experience with being discriminated against?
Well, I am a white woman, so not as much as probably other people, but definitely when it comes to comedy, it's really hard to break in. A lot of the stand-up stuff is mostly guys, and it's not super like, oh, come on in and talk about periods.
I have not, but I've experienced being a witness to that. So I think that Emerson kind of promotes themselves as a very diverse school, but in fact you can count the people of color on your hand in almost any classroom. And if we're being honest, I think that we should just be honest and not promote ourselves as that if we're not. So.
Yeah, definitely.
Can you give some examples?
So I was in a class one time with, so obviously I'm trans. I was in a class one time with what's referred to commonly as a TERF, so a trans exclusionary radical feminist. And so essentially this person continuously denied my identity, kept referring to me as a man, even though I'm not, and that happened.
No, I don't. I think it's more so just a lack of diversity more than anything. But I mean, we all have things to learn when it comes to race and discrimination.
Do you have any experience being discriminated against?
So last year I went to a crew call in the beginning of the year around this time as a freshman, and I have had previous experience as a PA on an indie film set, professional indie film set, and even with like all this stuff on my resume, I couldn't get a PA job on a film set here, which is pretty messed up. And what I've noticed and what my friends have noticed that are also women of color, they've noticed that like white men usually hire other white men on their sets even if they're like not qualified per se.
Have you ever experienced sexism or racism in a classroom?
If I could recount all of the times I have experienced sexism or racism in a classroom, that would be a miracle if I could remember all of them, because it happens constantly at Emerson in very overt and very covert ways.
Yeah.
from one of my professors allowing kids to say racial slurs in class and defend them, to professors asking, can I get some strong men to help me set up these C-stands? You tend to see it more in classes that are more advanced, like advanced cine, where you have to use like study cams and big rigs that involve a lot of like setting up and
Manual
crane,
labor.
manual labor. Or when people do projects in class, G&E tends to go to men and not many women try it, and they're like, oh, you should try production design.
How do you feel your work is treated compared to a white male's work per se?
I feel all the time when people of color, particularly women of color, make things, it's always seen through that racialized lens. Like, even if it's trying to be not about that, people take it as something racialized. Like, oh, this is only about a brown woman. Oh, this can only apply to brown women. Versus people of color have been having to see themselves in white people throughout all of their education. It's a lot, you see it a lot of the time, even outside of film, but a lot of the time when a white person says something like, this is happening, look at this, people listen to it, but when a person of color says, this is happening to me, look at this, everyone puts it to the side. It's like, oh, you know, it makes us uncomfortable.
The industry. It's that one thing that everyone wants to be in. If you've ever been in a class at Emerson, you've probably been told to keep the things you make in the industry standard. Things like having a headshot and resume when you audition for things, using the upside-down pyramid thing when you report on things, shooting your BFA with the most expensive RED things. Or else you're a bad storyteller, and a bad director, and you're bad at life, and you're just bad. But the term industry standards is hella broad, because when you really think about industry standards, that just means it's something that the industry does all the time. And that sometimes means bad things. For example, an industry standard for Sodexo is serving you plain white rice with white chicken and calling it a fiesta. A standard, but not a good one. Now, in the industries that Emerson feeds into, the standards are a little more toxic than just having moist chicken. Like how you have to have short hair if you're a reporter, or how you have to specifically mention a character's race in your screenplay if you want them to be anything but white, or having to put ethnically ambiguous on your acting resume if you're anything darker than me. And I'm very white. Like, my makeup shade is white out. While these things aren't explicitly stated in any rule book, they're just as much an industry standard as washing your hands before touching wet chicken, which I'm pretty sure Sodexo doesn't even do. And since Emerson's a school dedicated to preparing you for the real world, they're not so subtly perpetuating all the bullshit in the biz. So let's start with the big, racist, sexist, glamorous elephant in the room, the film industry. Emerson is 10th in the top 25 film schools in the country, and as a result, we've gotten a deluge of kids pursuing their dreams of shooting shit for the silver screen. Because of this, VMA is our largest major by a significant margin, with about 40% of Emersonians enrolled in the major and a vast majority of them with pipe dreams of being a Hollywood power player. Unfortunately, most power players in Hollywood are straight up assholes. Now, you've probably at this point heard about how Hollywood typically excludes women and minorities from joining their elite ranks. It's the reason we have to dig up the Oscar so white hashtag every year, and the reason why people call up Michael Bay to direct their next blockbuster and not say a competent female or person of color to direct their film. Hollywood is more prone to pick up a director who wants to include this shot of Megan Fox's ass for personal reasons, rather than a non-white, non-male director with a unique perspective. This is also the reason why Ryan was the DP of every BFA this year. It's not that he's talented. God knows he's not. It's just that he's one of the boys, and he's got the gear to prove it. Remember that time when North Korea got really mad that Seth Rogen made a movie about killing their supreme leader? Well, since North Korea literally cannot handle sarcasm, like they literally banned it, they released a shit ton of personal emails from Sony executives and Hollywood bigwigs that reveal some really horrifying truths about the entertainment industry. Thanks, Kimmy! To go through some of my favorites, Sony Pictures chair Amy Pascal had an email correspondence with Scott Rudin, producer for pretty much every Oscar movie ever, where they talked about what kind of questions they should ask President Obama. However, this turned into a game between Pascal and Rudin where this happened.
Before breakfast in California, where President Barack Obama was set to meet with a slew of Hollywood honchos, Pascal emailed Rudin about what she should talk about with the President of the United States. Pascal, who again is the co-chairperson of Sony Pictures, asked, should I ask him if he liked Django? Rudin suggested that she ask about 12 Years a Slave. Pascal then tried to top him by responding, or The Butler, or Think Like a Man. And then Rudin's last response was right along. I bet he likes Kevin Hart. In case you haven't picked up on the thread here, those are all movies starring black actors and actresses in lead roles. The last email comes by way of Rudin stating that he bets Obama likes Kevin Hart.
Now, you're probably horrified because those are real emails, and those are the people you want to give you a job. And they're going beyond normal racism. That's some like upper level topics in racism shit. They're saying Barack Obama likes Kevin Hart movies. No one likes Kevin Hart movies. Probably not even Kevin Hart. And if you thought that that's as bad as it gets, think again. Aaron Sorkin, also known as every aspiring screenwriter's all-time problematic fave and man crush, managed to have a bunch of awful, bigoted shit in his personal emails. In a correspondence with the New York Times columnist Marino Dowd, Sorkin wrote that Kate gave a terrific performance in Blue Jasmine, but nothing close to the degree of difficulty for any of the 5 Best Actor nominees. Daniel Day-Lewis had to give the performance he gave in Lincoln to win. Jennifer Lawrence won for Silver Linings Playbook, in which she did what any professional actress is supposed to be able to do. Oh, yeah, because everyone knows that doing an impression of a famous U.S. president is so much harder than giving a multifaceted performance about a clinically depressed woman with substance abuse issues dealing with her husband's recent arrest. No! You're dumb, Aaron Sorkin. I can do Daniel Day-Lewis's Lincoln performance.
Oh, 7 years ago, I freed all the slaves. My wife is Sally Fields, and she's cuckoo bananas.
Now give me my fucking Oscar. And if you think that Hollywood is the only place where racism and sexism are industry standards, think again. If you're getting a degree from Emerson, congratulations. You're either going to be unemployed or working for bigots for the rest of your life. Want to be an actor? Great. If you're a woman, your chances of getting a compelling leading role start shrinking. If you're a woman of color, I really hope you like The Color Purple or Hamilton, because those are the only 2 shows you've got a chance of getting cast in. Oh, what's that? White people want to star in Hamilton now? I hope you like The Color Purple. Well, what if you just want to do comedy? According to Christopher Hitchens, women just aren't funny. He wrote an entire essay about it in 2007 in Vanity Fair. And you might be wondering, what's the main point of his essay? Well, it's that men need to be funny for women to have sex with them.
That women don't need to be funny. That for most men, if they can't make women laugh, they are out of the evolutionary contest. They are never going to get laid. Most men are fantastically unattractive. What women see in them is mysterious to most men as well as most women. If you can't make them laugh, you don't have a chance. With women, there's no need to be rendering yourself attractive to men in that way. We already find you attractive, thanks.
Well, maybe you need to be funny because you're just an asshole who looks like a human dumpling and you gotta compensate somehow. Okay. If women can't be funny, I guess that they can be journalists, right? Wrong. If you want to be in broadcast journalism, you need to invest in 2 things. An education at Emerson College, the #1 journalism school in the world, and Botox. Because let's face it, men are not tuning in to be well-informed citizens. They are tuning in to watch what crazy racist shit Donald Trump said, and they want it told to them by the sexy blonde woman that graced their last wet dream. During a GOP debate this summer, a Fox News anchor did something right. Megyn Kelly, the closest thing that Republicans have to a weird, science-esque perfect girl, asked Trump about how a man who calls women fat pigs, dogs, slobs, and disgusting animals should be president. Of course, this led to Donald Trump throwing the biggest bitch fit ever, involving taking shots at Kelly's menstruation among many other things. And I know what you're going to say. This is just Donnie being Donnie, but you know that shit wouldn't have even started if Megyn Kelly were a dude. But it's okay. She always tops the list of sexiest TV anchors, so there's that. Okay, but seriously, why do we rank female news anchors by their hotness? Like, their job is just to report the news. You don't choose your professors just by the rate my professor's hot pepper, because that's how I ended up in Chad's class. And let me tell you, I still have not recovered from Chad's class. So, what is Emerson doing to combat the misogynistic and racist industry standards? Well, we're doing some stuff, but it's pretty much the bare minimum. We're like Mr. Krabs. We'll try new things to keep the customers happy, but at the end of the day, my sandwich, the fried boot. The plethora of white men in baseball caps still whirl the VMA department with a flannel-clad iron fist. Their insistence on putting out Emersonians into the industry, but not doing anything to change the status quo is infuriating. We are still at the point in High School Musical where Sharpay is leading the ensemble and stick to the status quo, whoa, 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 whoa. We need Martha to pop, lock, jam, and break, and Zeke to bake, and that skater dude and his friends to have a huge overreaction to him playing the cello. But the Emerson culture perpetuated by the administration is squashing our dear misfit tropes to favor the Sharpays and Ryans of the Emerson VMA department, the film boys. We need to get to we're all in this together, or at the very least breaking free. Let Gabriella audition, damn it, okay? The lack of encouragement women get from their male VMA professors versus the amount of puppy-like attention Quentin Jr. gets for his mafia-themed film too is one of the biggest disparities in a VMA classroom. And I read the script for Little Tino's Opus, and let me tell you, Act 3 was hella predictable. It was the Fight Club ending. Every film too has the Fight Club ending. And unless your bark is louder than your bite, the institution of Emerson will continue to value you by the size of your balls and the further fucked up the industry standards without blinking an eye. What the genuine fuck? We pride ourselves in being diverse and different and then continue to promote the same ideology that makes the entertainment industry so disgusting in the first place. You accept a relatively small number of minority students and throw them into a shark tank of peach-colored dildo heads who still think they dominate the ocean and treat the female sharks and sharks of color as bottom feeders, aka remoras. Hashtag, not just remoras. We need to do better. For real. I am tired of hearing about how Joss Whedon is the ultimate feminist. Even he regrets calling himself that. Just because he wrote Buffy doesn't give him a free pass. That's like saying that because Woody Allen made Annie Hall, it's okay that he touches his adopted daughter. Now, bring your mind's eye back to the distant year of 2012, when we thought that the Mayans had accurately predicted the end of the world. Our now beloved Mars rover first landed on the red planet. Coney was a thing. America's most influential black president came into office, Marvin Lee Pelton. In his inaugural address, he stressed his commitment to making Emerson a reliable environment for diversity and inclusion, with an initiative for what he called inclusive excellence. Now, we know that this is an important concept because it's capitalized in every mention on the Emerson website. The 6 pillars of this vague but magical plan are even more capitalized phrases: access and success, climate and human relations, teaching, you know what, it'll be easier to just pull these up. Cue their cute little infographic, Johnny. You might be wondering, what exactly do all these convoluted buzzwords mean? Apparently, the faculty and staff are wondering the exact same thing. So let me break it down for you. Emerson has an Inclusive Excellence Certification program where you're given the framework to understand inclusive excellence. Now, this is completely optional, and let's face it, not many people are going to go do this. The only people who usually show up to these events are the already woke professors who are just trying to get more woke. And the professors that need to go to this are going to say, gee, Willikers, I don't need to show up to a class on racism. I'm not racist. I was going to vote for Ben Carson. Now, department chairs are encouraging their staff to have a diverse subject matter and inclusive examples in their courses. This is everything from the journalism department teaching students to seek diverse sources and pay attention to underrepresented communities, to the performing arts department making an effort towards more inclusive casting that challenges the canon and staging productions by underrepresented voices. The WLP and Interdisciplinary Studies Department making the Africana Studies and Latin American and Latinx Studies minors. And the VMA department screening films that are not breathless. Despite how fucking lit and seemingly woke all those proposed changes sound, we have to remember that they aren't necessarily being employed universally. They're more like guidelines. It's like showering on a regular basis. Sure, it's important, but who has the time? Emerson likes to plaster all over their website the fact that we're being taught by industry professionals. But that is not great when you consider that those professionals were from the generation that thought the Taliban were the good guys. The departments can encourage all they want, but because of the faculty's academic freedom to create their own individual curriculum, not all of them will follow suit. And considering that's where the problems largely stem from, that's pretty bad news bears. Professors aren't even required to include that diversity statement in the syllabi, but most of them do. Makes sense, because it's easier to copy and paste a paragraph on diversity and read it in your class on the first day, rather than, I don't know, hold yourself accountable for making true changes in your curriculum. It's like a guy having their Tinder bio be proud feminist and then immediately messages you, that dress you're wearing in your picture is very becoming on you. But then again, I would be coming if I was on you too. You're probably thinking, that's awfully unrealistic. But that is an actual screenshot from staff writer Dinah Klein's Tinder. Emerson's lack of inclusiveness even extends from curricula to student-run organizations. Women in Motion is an organization that was founded to make a safer and more comfortable environment for women filmmakers. So you'd think it'd be given that all key crew positions would be filled by women. Nah. Their spring 2015 narrative had creative positions such as director and cinematographer filled by sweaty boys. At one point, the Girly Project, a comedy troupe that was yet again founded to carve a space for female comedians, has slowly grown in male members to a point where the gender ratio is almost 50-50. It's mostly women again this year, but the point remains. Opportunities for women are becoming less and less available. And when measures are put in place to prevent sweaty boys from taking these orgs over, they lose their SGA recognition and funding. Flawless Brown. Because at that point, they're not being inclusive. Now, obviously, we're not the only ones who've noticed diversity discrepancies at a PWI, or predominantly white institution. Students all across America have been making headlines with protests that demand universities change their selectively racist bullshit. Here at Emerson, cultural leaders organized a walkout to protest the racism and general unsafe environment they felt in classes and on campus. All they were asking for was required cultural competency training for faculty. That's like the bare minimum. That's like asking your doctor to have visited medical school. Not even like taking a class, just showing up and getting like medical school vibes. That's it. These protests directly led to the launching of Emerson's Bias Report program. But because nothing really happened, Emerson students made Power, protesting oppression with educational reform. Power has worked alongside a cultural competency committee of faculty allies, presenting their progress at an assembly last spring with a 3-part motion that would ensure cultural competency training and audit of classes. Long story short, they wanted to make an anti-racist suicide squad. And surprisingly, this motion was passed! Hooray! Emerson's institutional bias issue is solved! Post-racial Emerson College started when Lee Pelton became president! That's what I would be saying, if any of this was at all true. Power is now focusing on getting their concerns heard by trustees and trying to change Emerson's racial makeup, which, right about now, is about 70% white and 30% minority, which is slightly less diverse than a Zac Brown band private yacht show. What Power is doing is great. But what can I do, a lowly D&D enthusiast known for my OP Tiefling cleric? What can I do to help fellow ladies as well as students of color feel as comfortable as the white boy tracking my levels right now? Shout out to Jay Kooks on the mix. Honestly, it's pretty simple. We, as Emerson students, as cool, progressive, millennial, meme-making, art hue, new media makers, need to be more aware of who the heck we're hiring and including in our work. Just because the industry standard of a film crew is white dudes with baseball caps doesn't mean your film, too, set has to reflect that. Or when your journalism professor tells your classmate to cut her hair to better fit industry standards, don't just tweet about it or use an angry Snapchat filter. Speak up. Or if you can't speak up, file a bias report. Do literally anything but nothing, you know? So we can be all in this together. But maybe I'm reading too much into all of this. So here to talk about her experience on Emerson film sets is Juana Dubois. Come on out, Juana.
Hey Kira, I am so happy to be here representing the role of Woman 1 in Jean-Luc French's new BFM film, Shadows of My Past.
That's actually the character's name?
That's right.
Okay, so what's your deal?
Well, I'm an aspiring gaffer, but I'm doing makeup and acting in Jean-Luc's BFA, which is running an Indiegogo,
Wait, you want to be a gaffer, but you're doing makeup and acting?
Yeah, well, you got to start somewhere, you know. I'm really grateful that I had this opportunity because Anna had to drop out for personal reasons.
Personal reasons?
Yeah. I mean, she and Jean-Luc broke up, so being the only girl on set, they needed a female lead. And
wait, hold up. Do you have any acting experience, like, at all?
I don't really need any.
The point of acting is to act. And if that's not what you want to be doing, then why would you be doing it?
Well, yeah, I don't really say anything. I'm sort of just the idea of a woman. It's a lateral move toward gaffing, you know. I'm just really grateful to be on set, you know, and it's just a foot in the door kind of thing.
Honestly, I don't see how this translates into gaffing.
The guys just thought my wrists were too small. They thought I couldn't lift any more than 35 pounds, and they're right. I have super dainty wrists.
Aha. So, geez. Okay. So what's your experience been like on set?
Fine. Totally fine.
You don't have anything to say? A girl on a set full of dudes?
Nope. Just Juana Dubois.
Is that your real name?
Yep, I'm Juana Dubois.
I think it's pronounced Dubois.
Well, you know, it's actually, it's a nickname. It's what Noah, the DP, called me on the first day, and it's just kind of stuck.
Man, that's fucked up.
Oh, no, it's a term of endearment. You know, I'm just grateful to be on set because do you know how many of my girlfriends get hired for crew calls when they come out? None. Zip, zero, nada. And I'm not like them. I'm not like other girls. I'm Juana Dubois.
Are you okay?
Yep. I'm beat chill. You know, come to think of it, I'm really good at doing makeup. I've done a lot more smoky eyes than I've lighted scenes.
But if gaffing is what you want to be doing.
Well, Kira, we don't always get to do what we want in life, okay? You know, I'm just realizing that makeup is my true calling and gaffing is going to be a side thing. You know, Hitler wanted to paint, and that didn't really work out for him. So.
Are you comparing yourself to Hitler?
In a good way?
I really don't think there's a good way to compare yourself to Hitler.
You know, just being evil was his calling. And maybe doing makeup and acting in small films is my calling. You know, Kira, you're looking real washed out. Let me fix that for you.
Wait a minute. What?
Be my canvas.
Security.
I'm Juana Dubois.
Juana Dubois, everybody.
Donate to our Indiegogo.
Guys, racism and sexism already permeate the larger broadcast journalism and TV and film and theater industries. It's this shitty, systematic thing attached to all of these amazing things, like what racism and sexism is to American comedy, or what racism and sexism is to U.S. politics, or, to be frank, what the red shirt member of the Wiggles, Maury Cook, is to the rest of the Wiggles. Just because you're the only one who bothers to play an instrument, Maury, doesn't mean you get a pass for playing shitty chords on your ridiculous guitar. We don't care about your musical talent, Maury. We don't fucking care. Listen, the point is, we can't let racism and sexism continue at Emerson the way it does in the rest of the industry. Just because your professor says something is an industry standard doesn't mean that's how it will be forever. You know what was an industry standard at one point in time? Not hiring anyone of any minority group, period. At one point in time, Jane the Virgin couldn't be a thing at all because Gina Rodriguez wouldn't have even been able to get into the building. As young people, as young artists who are supposed to be pushing the boundaries or at the least staying relevant, I think we can add trying our darndest to make the industry an even playing field for everyone to our to-do list. But if we're not going to even try, we might as well just update our promo videos to show that. Emerson College, a magical and wonderful place. So magical, it almost feels like it was designed by a grand wizard. It's a place where we teach people in the real industry, where we cultivate future industry leaders, like these gentlemen.
He's on set. Oh, man, needs more cream.
Yes, it's true. You can be like industry titans like Jay Leno, or Vine DeBona, or Max Muchnick, or Kevin Bright, or David Foster Wallace, or David Cross, or Dennis Leary, or George Watsky, or the Fawn.
Hey!
He's learning. We also have several important alumni to inspire members of the urban persuasion, like that lady who spoke at commencement. What was her name? Yeah, and the AMC First Look lady, Marta Mentos. We have a black president.
What is life but a collection of moments called love? What is
all right, listen.
Yeah?
Really smoke the cigarette,
Okay.
you know, like...
Ah, yes, tobacco.
Like, in there, you know? The dialogue doesn't matter. It's the cigarette.
Yeah, I agree.
There are so many different opportunities to hone your skills to prepare yourself for an eventual career in the industry.
Yeah, I just directed my first TV pilot. It chronicles the struggles of a poor Latina immigrant, but it's based on my own life experiences.
Nice.
I played the quirky indie girl who wears glasses.
Tubular.
Oh, Claire, she's great. She's got some real talent. You know, she's my girlfriend.
What? No. Yeah, no.
And if you're into journalism, we're also preparing you for that industry. Short and serious. We also prepare you for a career in the theater too.
All right, sassy sidekick. What do we think?
Thinking sassy.
Yeah.
feeling it. No.
I was thinking her. She looks like a really sassy sidekick.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know if we need another black person. I don't know.
Whoa.
What? Whoa.
That's fucked up.
What?
They're people of color. POC, if you're like super woke, they hate being called black.
Yeah. I knew that.
Woke up, Emerson. We also have so many exciting orgs where you can express who you are, like NBS and Emerson Channel and Railworks and Pub Club and...
Whoa. What about all of these amazing culture words?
What?
Yeah, you know, like Amigos and Asian, Ebony, Flawless Brown.
What's that one?
Well, Flawless Brown is an art collective of really awesome and talented women of color.
Oh, you mean the reverse racist org?
Well, reverse racism doesn't really exist.
Well, what does exist is the Emerson Mafia. Am I right, Don DeBona? Oh, fuck yeah. Emerson College, enhancing industry standards through communication and the arts. Well, that's our show, everybody. Don't be a fucking bigot. Bye-bye.